This is the Lip and Putts podcast here in the Better Rate Mortgage studio, presented by Woodward Sports. People watching this on YouTube right now are probably a little confused. There's three of us sitting in the studio here this week. Of course, you got myself, Sam Palmer as always, and special guest, PGA professional Tim Pearce, good friend of mine. We've been friends for a couple years now, working throughout the golf business. Tim, kind of a big deal. I mean, you're the second person on the show ever, and the other one was Braylon Edwards. So you're an elite company right now.
I was told I was going to be the first one, so I got to talk to Braylon about that.
Well, the one thing we can say, though, is you're the first one who's like a full guest, full episode guest. He was an interview and everything, but you're here for the whole episode. You're going to give us some analysis, and then we're obviously going to talk a little about you. So,
hey, I'm extremely stoked to be here. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, so elite company, and then, I mean, it sounds like Sahith Theegala. I mean, we're kind of a Stan Sahith podcast, so he's gonna be on it. So your eliteness is just creeping up there. So
I love that. Wait, you're gonna have him on?
I believe so.
That's awesome. You keep teasing it, but
we're waiting until after the FedEx Cup playoffs. So I got his number at the Rocket Mortgage a couple weeks ago, and then him and I started shooting the shit. And then I was like, "Do you want to come on the pod?" At some point, he said, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's do it."
I've heard a lot of good things about that kid.
He's
a really nice kid.
He is cool as shit.
Obviously, a good player.
Yeah, really good player. His caddy, I think I said it on one of our episodes. Like his caddy left Andrew Putnam to jump on his bag just because he knew how much better he was.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's got a lot of talent, man. He's going to be around a long time.
Yeah, so obviously welcome to the show. As we do most weeks, we're going to run through the PGA Tour events. We'll talk some LIV golf. We'll even make a few notes. We had the ladies major this past week.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some picks, and you never know what. I mean, we got on a tangent about gimme putts last week that we kind of got lit up a little bit on social media. A lot of people, I think, were actually siding with us, but there was a lot of people like talking mad shit in the comments.
I meant to tell you this too, and so like the day you posted that on Instagram was like, I don't know if it was like right before or right after I had lost my match in the club championship in the quarterfinals, and I had missed like a 2-footer that the guy made me putt on 16. And it was like, you probably, if we were him and I were just, because it was a good buddy of mine, if him and I were just playing for fun, like he would have given me it all day. But it's like, no, I'm, I'm one down here. I'm going to make you putt this. Missed it. Ended up losing the match in extras. So, yeah, you poured some salt in the wound unknowingly.
Well, I mean, you brought that on yourself.
I did.
Because you said on the podcast, like, no, I actually, as a person that had the putting yips, I like to get those putts given to me. So I'm not saying you predicted it, but you kind of predicted it.
Well, when I talk about yips, it just comes to fruition. So, hey, I missed it. I deserve to have to putt it if I miss it. So
how will you never get rid of the yips if you never hit the putt?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how. You can't yip if you don't putt them.
Yeah.
That's what Sam's like.
How do you bunker shots? You don't hit in the bunker.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I got rid of the yips. Yeah, no, you didn't. You just were giving me putts.
Everything inside
completely gone. You just got to play with the right people.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
But either way, yeah, Joo-Young Kim, Tom Kim, goes by either wins the Wyndham Championship by 4 shots. He now, obviously had earned his status for a PGA Tour card the following season, but he actually earned a spot in the FedEx Cup playoffs. He quadruple bogeyed his first hole on Thursday. He was my pick to win, and I was like, well, shit, there we go again. Another guy who I picked to win who just sucked ends up winning by 4 shots. So remarkable 20-year-old who picks up the win. Initial takeaways for you guys on that.
Can I take full credit for this win, by the way?
Yeah, because you said he fucks, and you fucked with him, not fucked with him. But
well, I went up to him at the Rocket Mortgage the week before, and I said, Tom, you're the fucking man. And he was a bit startled. We talked about it. He was a bit startled. And I go, and he's like, huh, like, what? I was like, you're the fucking man. And he goes, oh, thanks, dude. So I like to believe that I instilled confidence in him to go out and win the Wyndham this week.
He's so unassuming. I mean, yeah, that's what everyone liked. Like Amanda Baliona, she was jumping all over, just like, this is Tom Kim. Like, this guy's awesome. And he was awesome. That post-round interview was sweet.
I mean, could you imagine starting off a tournament? I mean, I guess we can ask you. Have you ever started off a tournament with a quadruple bogey and ended up winning it by 4 shots?
No. I don't win many tournaments, so especially with a quad. That's insane.
Yeah, it's just like his what we saw his odds went from, I think they were around plus 3,000 right before the round. Basically, his round started. Mm-hmm. After the quad, it went to plus 12,000. Yeah, would have been a perfect time to bet him, but of course we didn't.
Could have quit my job.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, exactly.
But
no, I mean, we've been, I think both you and I have kind of talked about him since the Scottish Open. He played really good at Scottish Open.
Yeah, he's been on a heater, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, for the last 6 weeks. And he had a good, I think he was in 3rd place at the Open Championship after the first round. Yep. Ends up finishing like 30th. And comes top 5 in the Rocket Mortgage and then wins the Wyndham. Like, the dude's 20 years old, and we talk about like trying to get young guys starts and everything, and he just comes out, wins. Yeah. Well, that gets you starts, I guess.
I think you're going to see a lot more of that coming up. Just with all the LIV, and obviously there's more opportunities, and I think Korn Ferry Q School is going to open up some doors for more guys. You're going to see a lot more new names, but like it's good. It's a good thing for the sport.
You're talking music to Sam's ears right now.
Yeah, come on, we'll get into all of it when we talk about your back. I will want all your opinions. But it was cool. He played with Sung J M in the final round as countryman, and like Sung J M right now is the name in Korea when it comes to golf. Obviously, Siwoo Kim, it's Siwoo, right? There's always that like I just want to make sure. I've always heard the lisp kind of with it, but. He won the Players a while back. Then it became Sung Jae, and so like Tom Kim could be taking over and quickly. And he really identifies, I think, with a lot of American fans, just partially because he can speak English and it makes
very
it
well
easier.
Spoken, yeah.
Yeah. So I there's gonna be a lot of fun stuff I think that comes out about him. Just like he'll be a fun character to watch, especially being younger and some of the interviews he's done. He'll be very interesting to see how his career progresses from here.
Right, and I think too is. He is the second youngest PGA Tour winner since Jordan Spieth won when he was 19 at the John Deere Classic. So, and I think since World War II is that where that stat lays at. Yeah. So, like, it's crazy to think about. I was like, I think we're all here in our late 20s now. I was like, I started playing golf at 18. So to win a PGA Tour tournament at 20, never even crossed my mind in the wildest dreams.
It's a little discouraging.
Yeah.
A little discouraging. We got to get.
I'm just trying to qualify for a club championship over here.
Yeah. Well, mission accomplished. You did that.
I would have gave you the putt, though.
Thanks. I appreciate it. You've never seen me. You just heard about the but you're good.
Yeah, I almost wonder, like, not to go backtrack too much, but, like, if it wasn't your buddy or if it wasn't Connor in that situation, if it was anyone else you didn't know would have given you that putt.
No, I think I had to putt it. I tried to dormy him, basically. There was 2 holes to play. It was a putt to win the hole for par from like 12 feet, and I tried to make it to put him in dormy. And I raced it by like 2 feet, and it was kind of a slider. But I just think if we're like shooting the shit, playing for fun, he's like, I'm good. You're not going to have to force that. So no, I think anyone would have maybe putted. So I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
The situation calls for that.
Yeah, exactly. But final week of the FedEx Cup regular season, obviously the standings are set. I'm just kind of looking at some of the players who made the biggest moves. John Huh went up 45 spots from 111 to 66, but he was already in the playoffs. Max McGreevy went from 126 to 104, kind of one of the players who was able to move in.
Yep.
But there was some emotional stuff coming down in the end. I mean, I don't know if everyone saw the PGA Tour Instagram, Justin Lauer.
Yeah, pain.
Now, granted, I think he actually would have not made it either way had he made that putt, is what I heard, because when Tom Kim won, he had to kick someone out.
Yep.
And so it would have kicked out.
I think
Justin
Tom
Lauer.
Kim was the deciding factor.
No, because he missed he 3-putted the 18th hole, so he was out of it already.
Already, but
and
if
then
he made
Matt
the
Wallace
putt,
got booted. Yeah. If he
Tom Kim.
Yeah. So imagine though, like, would you have rather 3-putted to miss it, or would you rather make it think you're in, and then Tom Kim wins and boots you out? Like,
so quick story. One of my buddies in Florida, not going to say his name, but he had a 3-footer on the last hole of the regular season, obviously. And when he came in, he actually missed the putt, just barely lipped it out or whatever, lipping putts. And he ended up getting an interview and saying congratulations and all this stuff, and he ended up missing it.
Really?
Oh.
And, I mean, I can't even imagine what that feels like, but he was telling me a bunch of stories about that, and that's just super, super sad stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's life-changing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's, grinding in Florida trying to make some money, and life changes quick.
Yeah.
He lived the dream for a year,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are never going to get that opportunity, right? So as much as you say, like, he should be thankful, but like he wanted to do that for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a touchy subject. But yeah, watching that interview that PGA put out, it was hard to watch as like, if you're a golfer whatsoever, like not that you've had a moment to that degree, but there's been putts or something that you've missed along the lines. Like it could have changed so much, for whatever event. I mean, Sam, you had that putt this weekend, essentially.
Life-changing putt.
Yeah, except Justin Lauer 3-putted from like 80 feet. I 3-putted from 12.
Wow.
For a club championship, not a stability in your career for next year.
In your defense, you did say it was your major this weekend.
You're right.
So.
You're right. I'm just laughing that you related that to it. Either way, look, what's your take on the Wyndham Championship? Because it was back-to-back Donald Ross courses, which I enjoy. I do like this event, but you get none of the big names to really play in it, which is good and bad. I think if the bigger names played in it, it'd take away from the bubble watch. But I just want to know, what's your guys' opinions of the Wyndham Championship?
I mean, to me, it's like, I wish there was a week off in between the FedEx Cup playoffs and the
in the final.
Yeah,
we don't just
week.
jump into the FedEx St. Jude.
Right.
Yeah, I really like the event, but you need to figure out a way to make it a much bigger deal. And I think, they probably will next year with how they're changing the playoffs, and only the top 70 will get in, where this year it's top 125. But yeah, it seemed odd. And there was another one, Austin Smotherman, who I think basically went of the week at 125. Shot 5 under on the front first day, and then there was the rain delay. He had like 4 holes to play, made a double bogey on a second to last hole to miss the cut. Ends up at 127. So it is. I think it's cool to watch these stories. And look, it's not like these guys all of a sudden won't have any sort of status on the PGA Tour. They'll have some of it. But again, it's that stability. It's probably a lot more money making the FedEx Cup playoffs.
I do like the tension draw to that, just because it's important. I mean, these guys are grinding for a career, right? I mean, all we watch is the top 10 just battle it out every week, and it's just, I think it's a good thing to see. And the emotion and the good and the bad of making it, not making it. I mean, that's what they're dealing with all the time. You're seeing the real deal, emotions and what they do for every single day, 365 days a year of what they're trying to accomplish towards the end of the season. So I think it's important to kind of highlight it a little bit.
For sure, yeah. So just going down the list, the last 5 guys who did qualify in the FedEx Cup: Lucas Glover, Webb Simpson, Nick Taylor, Kramer Hickok, and then Ricky Fowler, who fresh off back-to-back missed cuts, comes in as the bubble boy. It's like good, like cool. It's obviously a name you want to be in there, but like, man, when you miss the last 2 cuts of the season at like not a U.S. Open or large events like Rocket Mortgage, and then this, it's just hard for me to be like, you had a really good year and you deserved it. I don't know. It's weird to say. But then go ahead.
I was gonna say, I almost want to call him. You know how we call Pitbull like Mr. 105? I want to call him like Ricky's like new nickname's Mr. 125. Like that's what it is.
He's got to earn it to get out of here.
Hey, watch. If he goes wins this week, he'll be up there. But yeah, I just there's nothing that has given me any sort of insight or like thought that he's going to be somewhat competitive. But he's got a card for next year.
Yeah, I mean that's all. I mean, I think that's all he cares about at the moment. But I think at the same time too, and we'll talk about the notable guys that aren't in the FedEx Cup playoffs that lost their card. Like a lot of these guys already have exemptions for next year because they can pull the money all-time money.
There's
money
a bunch of it. And again, you usually get some sort. Look, one, these guys who didn't make it are going to go to Corn Ferry Finals and actually have a chance to earn the card back. But 2, like these dudes, they have some status still,
right?
So partial status. But the 5 guys who missed, Matt Wallace was the guy who I think bounced out because of Tom Kim. Then Austin Smotherman, Justin Lauer, Doc Redman, who finished runner-up in the inaugural Rocket Mortgage Classic, and then major champion Danny Willett.
Yep.
So, there's some good names who didn't make it, and Nick Hardy, a guy I had been riding for toward the end of the year, he missed a few cuts coming down the end, finishes 132. You just think, man, 2 events, you make cuts, and probably does a lot. But I
got some other. I mean, you got Harry Higgs is at 136. He's out. Zach Johnson 140. Rory Sabatini 141. Charlie Hoffman 150.
Chaz.
Bill Haas, Luke Donald, Brant Snedeker, Jimmy Walker. Like, when's the last time you heard Jimmy Walker's name?
Unbelievable.
When he won the major,
I didn't know
a long
that
time
many.
ago.
Yeah.
This is why, people need to know this stuff. I mean, you would have never known. Those names are just gone. I mean, you got to know what their status is. And why haven't I seen this, him in a while? And it's like, well, they didn't pull it off when they needed to.
Yeah, and it's like out of sight, out of mind too.
Well, and that's the thing. Had Ricky not qualified for the FedEx Cup, like I don't know if his Players Champion. I don't know when that exemption runs out for his card. But like that could have been a name. It still could be a name rumored to go to LIV. But if he lost status on the PGA Tour, man, that might have been a guy they would have gone. So
sure.
Maybe him getting in at 125 is really close. But also just a few names to round out the bottom of the list. 232 to 225 starts with Omar Uresti at 225.
Your boy.
I got to always hammer that. John Sendin's in there, Kevin Stadler, Ruiji Amada, Matt Every, just guys who really belong in the FedEx Cup as well. So
yeah, some of Sam's favorite players right there.
Look, I just had to steer down. Tiger Woods 214 as well.
Unreal.
He's a has-been.
You think he's going to lose his card?
Tiger?
Yeah.
He might. But either way, yeah, I think it's an exciting event. I like it. Again, it's different than what we're used to. It'll be interesting next year because we still don't really know, like, guys who don't make the playoffs, we don't know how that's going to relate to, the 70 to 125. What's that going to do for their status? But I'm sure that'll all be shifted and we'll be able to understand. So is there going to be 2 things we're going to watch? The guys who make the playoffs, but then the guys who are trying to retain their card.
Consolation match.
Yeah, which, hey, losers brackets are worth it. You guys are just, jeez.
So, I mean, you kind of set yourself up coming in here. I couldn't help it.
Fuck.
But no, I think that does pose, interesting. This is kind of the last year of seeing the 125, right? Like you said, we got the changes coming to the PGA Tour next year. You're going to have the fall series along with, I guess we can call it the consolation tournament.
Yeah, right.
For your PGA Tour card. So I mean, I think that's going to be just even more drama filled going down the stretch in the fall. At least give you a reason to watch fall golf next year.
Yeah, well, again, there's going to be some sort of stuff. I don't know. You might know a little more about it than we do.
Not a whole lot, but I was just talking about this last night. Like, it just sucks that we can't watch a major from end of mid-July to mid-April.
Yeah,
that's where I kind of, I get it kind of with how the season shift and how the playoffs work and all that stuff in football, but it just sucks to wait that long.
Hey, we got the President's Cup.
But you get hit hard real quick.
Yeah, well, it comes, all of a sudden, you got players in March, Masters, obviously, then you got PGA, U.S. Open. It's just quickly, it's like they're there and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Well, I think what kind of messed us up too is having the Masters in November. It was like, okay, like this.
That was great.
This was great. Yeah.
True.
And then you turned around and had it back again in April. I was like, well, let's figure out a way to do this more often.
That was a big luxury.
Yeah.
Just it's meaningful golf, and we don't get that, which, again, I think is good why they took out the fall series for the FedEx Cup, just because it's not as valuable. But, yeah, they're trying to create something from it.
I guess what event do you guys kind of mark on the calendar as like, okay, I'm going to get back into the PGA Tour? Because like for me, it's in right at December, the Hero World Challenge. We'll start getting fired up because I think like everybody, even in the state of Michigan, you're just used to the seasons. So you take some time off from golf, maybe it be October, November, or maybe it's just November. But like the Hero World Challenge kind of gets me fired back up. And then obviously the Tournament of Champions in Hawaii, that's where I'm like locked back in. It's all right, let's have ourselves a go for the tour season.
The Hawaii thing for sure, just because it's beautiful and the best players are playing and all the winners from last year that you saw before, primetime golf. That California swing, Riv, I mean, I love that golf tournament.
That's what I was going to say.
It's an interesting golf tournament. It's a hard golf course. I mean, the best player comes out of that, and just like, what are we going to see this year? You're trying to wrap your mind around who's going to win these majors this year.
Yeah.
Even though it's pretty early, but that's kind of the kickstart for me.
Yeah.
I would totally agree. The Tournament Champions kind of gets me like excited a little bit. But then it's when the Genesis comes, and usually Waste Management's right around the corner, if not the next week. Those are the two that I'm like, we're back and like full on.
Yeah, and then essentially those are flagship events for the PGA Tour.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I forgot to look at the schedule. I want to look at the schedule to see. I don't know. Will the Wyndham be the last tournament every single year for the FedEx Cup?
It should be because they have the Wyndham rule. They had the Wyndham rewards to pay how they were paying out the top 10 guys in the regular season. Now it's called the Comcast rewards.
Yeah.
I'll look at next year's schedule for you and let you know real quick.
Because obviously, like the Rocket Mortgage moved back up to the 4th of July weekend, and they shuffle a few of those events around. So, to me, again, this goes back to a conversation that we've had before about, easy, hard golf courses or hard golf. Like the last 2 weeks of the season, I feel like there should be like one tough golf course kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, well, and you could sometimes say that part of it's like the playoffs. Like, was it 2 or 3? It might have been before the pandemic, honestly, or it might have been during the pandemic. The BMW, I think they played in Chicago. I don't remember the exact course, but it was like 1 or 2 under 1.
Yeah.
And so sometimes those events that's what it puts in. I don't know how the St. Jude. I think the St. Jude usually like the winners at 8 to 10 under. Typically,
yeah.
So
I guess they are a little bit tougher. Yeah.
But it just depends again on the rotation.
Really
they switch sometimes where the playoffs go and
weather, all that stuff.
Yeah, except for the finals, it's always at East Lake, which everyone can have their own opinion of that golf course, but
right.
I just think it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot about you.
Yeah, so. I'm just a complainer, aren't I?
Against the grain a little bit.
Well, a little bit. It's like my shtick.
I like it though.
Yeah, no, Sam's definitely like, you look at him and was like, okay, like this is what we're.
What do people like? Okay, on the other side of it, whatever people like, I'm gonna be that guy who just wants to argue.
Yeah, he likes the small name guys, not the big name guys. Like, you're learning very quickly. You've actually caught him very quickly, Tim.
I like it.
But Tim, why don't we talk about you?
Sure.
I like let's learn more of your story. Obviously, you and Nick go way back. We just basically met. I've heard the name a few times, but assistant golf pro at Birmingham Country Club. But take us through kind of your story, at least a little bit, of kind of how you got into the golf, and obviously your playing background. You've been able to play in a lot of high profile events to potentially earn spots for large professional golf events. So
I mean, I was super lucky. My dad was a member at Detroit Golf Club growing up, and like they had a massive junior program with a lot of good young players, and we all wanted to play in college. We all wanted to be on tour one day. So, I mean, when my dad played, he played a lot. So I would just grind on the range, hit balls 6-7 hours. I mean, when I was 4, 5, 6 years old. Mm-hmm. Then I'd go to the putting green and have 72-hole putting tournaments, stroke play. You hole everything out, no gimmies. And
we should do that. How much do you think you'd beat me by?
Yeah. I feel like I know where you went wrong in life there, Sam.
Just going through the ranks of like being a 4-holer, then a 9-holer, then an 18-holer as a young kid, and just like that progression, I just fell in love with. The golf pros there, and going through high school, my goal was to play in college, but I kind of realized like, what am I going to do after college? I don't really love anything else other than golf, and especially the golf industry, you got to love it to be in it. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to check out Ferris State. They got a great golf program. I mean, first one in the country. They have great reputation. I knew a lot of kids that went there, and I still had the chance to walk onto the golf team. So that was kind of my route. But Detroit Golf Club is super special to me. It's probably my favorite place in the world just because of everything I love now is from that place. And I went to Birmingham Seaholm, played 4 years on the varsity team, and played in plenty of tournaments, and really fell in love with it. And the program up at Ferris was awesome. I mean, the internships they got to do. I mean, and I got to meet Nick.
Yeah.
But you meet a lot of guys along the way, and just keep those connections. And just I love what I do, and you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a unique part that doesn't get talked about enough throughout the golf industry is like there's several different routes how you can do it, right? Like I grew up working through the business. Tim went to school for it. A lot of the people that I know went to school for it, and you can do an apprenticeship through different golf courses, any PGA facilities and things like that. So you can kind of come from like a totally different background and just meet a ton of like most of the people that I know now is because of working in the golf business. And I think that's just what doesn't get talked about enough when people say, oh yeah, I worked in the golf business and like I know this person, I get to do this. Like it's crazy. I mean, look, I've met both of you just from working in the business.
Yeah. And it truly is like, it's who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
And that's like, couldn't be more true about the golf industry. I mean, you hear it all the time, but really, I mean, you stay connected, you get to do cool things like this and visit your buddies in Arizona or what do you got to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think one of the parts we want is like, so for people that are watching or listening to this, like you're one of the best players in the Michigan section within the PGA, and you've played in a few assistants championships. You've won the Michigan section a few times, and last year you got to go and play the PGA championship for the first time, which is that how many people can go out and say they played in a major championship? It's not a lot of people that can say that, and obviously I've never wanted to ask you off the record about that experience just because I knew eventually we'd get to a golf podcast and we'd have the opportunity here. So I'm going to be hearing some of the stuff for the first time, but like just kind of go back and walk us through what that experience was like. Cause again, 99.9% of the world's never going to experience that.
Well, and almost explain how, like, I don't know if everyone knows how people qualify for the PGA Championship, but as a teaching pro or within the, there's the professional golfers, and then there's people who help grow the game from a teaching professional standpoint. Yes. They run the golf shops, all that. That's kind of what you're doing. Correct. That's what you're doing, not kind of. And so you were able to play in the championship and qualify that way. So kind of explain that, and then knowing you qualified, and then kind of go through. For
sure. So like as a member of the Michigan PGA, right? There's 41 sections in the country for. If you're a PGA member, there's 41 sections. If wherever you live, Michigan actually has its own section. Florida has 3. Yep. So that's kind of how that works. Every section has a section championship that all their members are able to play in and qualify through their section championship to go to the national tournament. So for Michigan, we have like 125 guys that play, and we have 9 spots. So based on how big your section is, how many guys play, they take a different number. Some have 3, some have 12. Mm-hmm. Michigan has 9. So last year, I think I've tried 3 times now. My first year I made like the 2-day cut and just came up short, but the second try, which was last year, I qualified, and I got to play in the National Club Pro. That was at PGA Golf Club in Port St. Lucie, Florida. They have a lot of PGA tournaments there. Mm-hmm. So through that, there's 312 total players. Yeah. So you pull from every section. There's a lot of players, and they take the top 20 guys at the end of that tournament to play in the PGA Championship for that year. And, I knew it was at stake, but I just got, I had a calm first day, bogey free, and I found myself tied for second after the first day.
What was your expectations going in?
I mean, you can't have any
because
I've kind of done that through my career too, just like not have any expectations, and you won't like let yourself down type of thing or have any like bummers. But that's just, you know what, I was nervous as hell, but just kind of hitting fairways and greens, simple as that, and just came out bogey free. And then it got windy in the afternoon and found myself in second place. So I'm looking at my name on the TV all day, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like kind of a big deal, you know? So I just kept that going, man. I just found a comfort zone. I did everything the same every single day, had the same breakfast, left at the same time, went to the course at the same time. You know, I did those little things, went to the bathroom, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Superstitious is what you're saying?
No, but for that week, for that week it worked, man. And I just didn't want anything to change. I didn't want to feel off kilter, and I just wanted to feel what I felt the day before. So I just kept doing that. And, you know, I found myself really close to the cut line on that top 20 that last day, and I had a putt that hung on the lip on the second to last hole for 6 seconds or whatever, and it fell in, and that got me within one. And then I just had to par the 18th hole to go through, and that was pretty cool.
So you're scoreboard watching though the whole time.
They have scoreboards on the back nine, and I have to know where I'm at.
Well, yeah,
because I need to know if I need to like throw one at the flag or like you know, just keep doing what I'm doing, making pars. So.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because, you know, you hear people out there and people out there teach it too. Is like they teach young players like, oh, don't keep track of your score. Don't buy. It's like I feel like a lot of good players know exactly where they're at all times.
I think so too. You hear a lot of that on tour. It's like you can't look at a green without seeing your name on the board of where you're at and what position you're at and stuff. Like I noticed at the Rockets, like, I mean, not every single hole, but there's holes out there that's like this guy's T42 or T70 right on the cut line. Like, how do you not know where you're at?
You have to
it's tough.
Intentionally be avoiding looking at it.
But that's being aware of where
still,
it is.
You're it's there. Let me look this way. Like it's so, I feel like hard to not do that.
Yeah, I say there's times that like I've played good through like the first 7 or 8 holes, and you get so locked in that you kind of forget about where you're at, especially if someone else is keeping score. But I feel like 90% of the rounds that I play, I know exactly where I'm at all times.
Yeah. So quick question. I mean, and this is something to whether someone's trying to qualify for, it could be a Michigan Am, it could be a club championship, it could be a professional event, it could be they're trying to shoot their best score, which is first time breaking 80, first time breaking par, first time breaking 100. People know where they're at, and there all of a sudden is a little pressure coming down the end, whether it's 3 holes. Okay, I got to go par to shoot 71 or something like that, or I got to par. Like you said, you knew where you were at, you knew you had to basically make a putt or something here. How do you handle the nerves there? Because I think Nick and I, and I'm sure you've had examples where you get a little nerve and there's issues that come from that and you hit bad shots. And so, like, do you have any advice for anyone who's trying to figure out how to handle those things when they get in that pressure-filled situation?
Good question, because I had a couple experiences last year that answer both of those questions. The tournament to qualify for the national tournament, I was very close to making that top 9. And I played the last 54 holes beautifully, right? And I played them that way. So why would you change your mindset or change how you are managing the golf course if what got you here in the first place was that? Yeah. So why would you go backwards and stay safe when being aggressive was what you got you there? So that would be my first thing. The second thing with nerves, I mean, on the final, the 72nd hole of the PPC, which is the PGA Professional Championship to get you into the PGA Championship, you know, I got to watch it on TV, and no one could really tell how nervous I was, to the point where after I hit my tee shot on 18, which is a very difficult tee shot, basically, if you hit the fairway there, you're wedging it on the green and making par. Yeah. So when I hit that tee shot, my caddy kind of looked at me and was like, enjoy the walk. You know, like one of those things like, you did it. Yeah. Like, enjoy it. And I, like, freaked out.
I really that's the last thing I'd want to hear.
I mean, you couldn't tell the camera cuts off at the right times and things like that. But, I mean, I was I had to step off the tee box and like, it was hot. And I'm chugging water, I'm chugging Gatorade, I'm doing everything that I possibly can do to just like feel better and just like for 10 more minutes, just like stick with it and you're done. Yeah. I really thought I was going to like pass out, and thankfully I didn't, because that would have been probably one of the most embarrassing things in my life. But you have to do whatever you think you have to do. In terms of like, mine was just like saying cuss words and telling myself that no one cares, and like out loud, and I don't care if there's a camera in my face, I got to get through this. And like, I did those things just because I felt better. I mean, whether it's breathing or just laying down for a second or drinking water or like just mental things, like think about your happy place or whatever it is. Mine was just swearing at myself. Yeah. and just telling myself, there's a lot of people in the world that could care less about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean,
so that made me feel better, like instantly.
Yeah, that's a very good way of looking at it.
I don't know.
I mean, I've tried to tell myself too, like when I have a good round going or something along those lines. Like I shot even par for the first time for 18 holes, like a month or so ago now, and like I told myself down the stretch, like no one cares. Like when I leave this golf course today, like no one's gonna give a shit. No. And at the end of the day, no one really did. Yeah. So like now I have that mindset going forward. But I always go back to what Jordan Spieth said the first time he was leading the Masters. I think when he not fell apart, but Bubba ended up winning it. Yeah. He said he went in that back nine, and he said I couldn't feel my arms anymore. Wow. So he just he was so nervous, and he was so like. I feel like that's part of it, is like almost kind of like he says, like, am I going to lose consciousness? So it's a vast majority of players are always going to feel that regardless of the situation that they're in, whether you're, leading the Masters or you're trying to get into the PGA Championship. I mean, for some people, it could be trying to win a club championship.
It could be trying to break 80 for the first time. I mean, I've heard stories from people I work with. They're like, man, dude, I was 5 over with 2 holes to play. And I 3-putted the 17th, and then I hit one out of bounds in 18. It's like, dude, but it's you get in that and you know where you're at, and there's you start kind of getting really tense. Yeah. And the times I've whether the first time I shot under par, I shot 5 under par, I blew it out, then because the nerves almost couldn't. I was so far ahead I couldn't basically blow it. The first time I ever broke 80, I remember in high school, I shot 75, because. It was not even. It was so far away. I couldn't worry about making a mistake that was going to cost it. Yeah. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But
I mean, I would add just like you said, on 17, if there's out of bounds left and you think there's out of bounds left, don't go left. You're going to go left.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's just things like that. You just have to trick your brain. I mean, you really do. So
the thing I've learned is typically, and we've talked about this on the podcast. If you start playing tentative, you start not hitting good shots, and really what it is it's not one shot that you go, oh my god, I hit in the water, I cost myself a shot there. It's no, I hit a bad shot in the left rough, then I either had to chip out or I couldn't hold the greens. Now I'm chipping from the other side, and I chip it to 8 feet, and it's a lot of small mistakes that add up to a shot on a hole. Sure. And so I think there's a lot to that. But
I would say that too, though. Diagnose your round and tell yourself what do you need to work on, 1, but 2, what went wrong today, and if it's little, then don't worry about it. Yeah. It'll change next time. If it's big, then maybe we got to work on some stuff. But
figure out the trend.
I would also add just if someone comes in and they say they had a bad day, I mean, every single golf shot you hit is a new day.
Yeah, exactly.
You can hit the worst golf shot of your entire life, and then the next one could be the best golf shot you ever hit in your entire life. So when guys say they had a bad day, I kind of laugh. That's your fault.
Look, I've always said a bad day golfing beats a good day at work. So
100%.
That's the other thing. But we didn't even talk about the PGA. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say. So obviously, you talked about how nervous you were just leading up. What were those first tee emotions when you actually got to the PGA Championship?
So by far, the nerves were way worse trying to qualify.
Really?
Okay.
And I came back. I had a lot of attention. There's, I'm sticking in front of cameras and I'm doing all this stuff I've never done before. And I'm never thought I was really good at it. And, you have to kind of learn how to just deal with it. But when I came back, I had 2 weeks to kind of work before I was going back, which required a lot of practice, and it was kind of still cold out and things like that. And I just kept telling myself, I don't really know if I can do this. This is the biggest stage in golf. Everyone watches this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play. I really don't. I think I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to be 18T at the PPC all the time. And when we got there, I just had so much time to kind of relax and just go to the beach or just go to the range and just feel like one of those guys. And those guys never give you the cold shoulder. They're all the nicest guys in the world. They understand where you are and how much it means to you, that they're not going to treat you that way. You're just one of them for the week. And those guys, I got to play with a few guys, and they just treat you like you're supposed to be there, which you are. And that just made me relax. Obviously, the first tee, when they say, ladies and gentlemen, 103rd PGA Championship, is Tim Pearce. Wow. I would have never thought I would hear that, So, that was pretty much it. I made a birdie on my fourth hole from 30 feet that just all my friends and family went nuts.
Yeah, that's a tough hole too, isn't it?
Yeah, 13.
Oh, okay. Then let me take it away then.
Yeah.
So 13's a hard hole too.
I mean, so number 10 was this carry, and I got caught in the rough. I had no shot. It hooked into a waist bunker. My waist bunker shot went over the green to another bunker, hit poor bunker shot to 15 feet, and made it for bogey. So I'm okay, I would have literally taken a bogey if you told me that. So then the next hole, I 3-putt, 'cause I'm still feeling nervous. I make bogey. make a good par on the next hole, and then I drained that 30-footer. And, like, after that, I was 1 over through 4, and I'm like, I would have taken this in a heartbeat.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
All my family and friends and members that came down to watch, they were going nuts. And, like, it got super loud, and then I was just settled in the entire time. It was awesome, man. That's so cool.
I think that's kind of what they talked about, with, the final round of the Open with Rory and Victor Hovland. Is like, if those guys could have made a birdie to, kick off, a birdie always calms you down.
Yeah.
I feel like, kind of like, all right, you're good enough, you got this. I guess for you is, you kind of already answered the question I was going to ask, but I think one of the famous videos for you that came out of that week is, I think it was during the practice round, you were walking through, I think, to the practice screen or something with Justin Thomas.
Yes.
And obviously his dad's a PGA professional. Was a guy like him more open to, all the 20 pros that were out there that entire week?
Some more than others, depending on where they're walking to or what do they have to do and how much time they have. I was just walking from the putting green back to the driving range, and I think it was Wednesday. And I just saw him kind of walking behind me, so I stopped on the stairs, crossing over, and I was like, I just introduced myself, and he was the coolest guy. Other than, like, us meeting, I kind of blacked out for the next 45 seconds because I was just, like, where we were walking over, and there's a bunch of people watching us, and there's just, like, it was a beautiful day. We're on Key Island. I mean, it was just, like, what am I doing right now? Like, literally, what am I doing? I had one good tournament that get you in. I mean, that's what golf is like. You got to take advantage of. First of all, you got to give yourself opportunities, but to take advantage of those opportunities, the more you get yourself, so that moment was probably, like, my favorite just because, like, wow, like, I'm talking to JT, just him and I, and where we are right now, it hit me pretty hard. So he was cool. I know his dad's a PGA pro and still his coach. I mean, that's a dream to have a kid like that. I mean, hopefully my kid's like that one day, so.
Yeah. Did you get to play with any like notable professionals or anything, whether it was practice round or the first year?
Yeah, so Monday, Ben Cook and I played.
Okay.
And we played with another PGA pro. And then Tuesday, I think I played with, I walked to the tee, and it was kind of one of those things, like, Ben had played this was his third one in a row, Ben Cook. And he was like, you can just be aggressive. Like, just ask guys to play. If they're on the first tee and they look like they're just playing, like, just go up and ask. They don't care. So Matt Wallace was standing there, funny enough, and I asked him to play, and he's like, yeah, I'm just waiting on another guy. And I'm like, okay. And Poulter walks up. So I played 9 holes with Matt Wallace and Ian Poulter, and, like, the Englishman banter, like, them going at each other, the caddies going at each other, Poulter going at his caddy. I mean, it was insane. So, like, that was really cool. It felt like I was kind of stepping in between them for the first 2 holes, and then they loosened up, and, like, Poulter and I were pushing each other on the tee and just making jokes. I mean, it was so cool, man. And, like, to watch those guys play is insane. Like, what they do out of bunkers, they hit it 5 different ways right next to the hole. I mean, it's crazy what those guys do. And then, my favorite probably was Kuchar. I mean, he was just like, so I played with Kuchar, Omar.
Oh, my God.
Webb Simpson came up and caught us on the last 2 holes, so we played 2 holes with him as well. But Kuchar was just cool, man. He was just like, he just made the big easy almost. Like, he kind of just, like, big dude, just swings at it, respects you, watches you, and I got to watch his short game, which is crazy. But great experience, man. It's cool.
That's awesome. Now, I rip on Omar, and it's completely unnecessary. But I have a question because he's a guy who played on the PGA Tour for a number of years.
Yes.
Basically, he had a PGA Tour career, yet he's now become kind of a PGA professional. Like, is there any animosity toward him because he's a guy who basically played on tour, but he's somehow able to qualify this way into the PGA Championship? Or am I just completely making that up like any sort of podcaster does?
No, I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, there's a lot of people with both sides of that opinion. I just think, like, he wouldn't be playing in our tournaments if he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that's been thought about. I mean, that's kind of a big thing. And I know he wins a lot of tournaments, but he's a nice guy, like a really, really nice guy. And I enjoy playing with him. And I think he, I don't think that he's stands out. Like, I had to be told that he played on tour.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I mean, I know he's a little bit older, but nothing told me, like, this guy, like, shouldn't be with us. I mean, he doesn't hit it that far. I mean, I hit it by him, and he's got the short game of a genius, and those are things that anyone can learn if they're driven to it. So, like, I understand the whole career thing, and I understand why people think that. I don't have a specific opinion on whether he should be able to play or not. I know that they kind of pulled his his exemption from the PPC going forward, and I think it's good timing. Now he's getting older and he's lost his status and
I just didn't know.
Stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was
No, I mean, really, he's very well respected between all
I'm
the
sure.
players of the PGA, and I know there's some guys that are, have that strong opinion, and you can go party with them if you want.
I tell you what, I mean, I have no judgment of his character. He is just unfortunately the guy who I use the name.
That's his whipping boy. That's Sam's whipping boy.
And
right there.
It's not fair to him. And
he doesn't even know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't know who I am. I'm such a peon to him. He's like, who the fuck? So, but the cool thing, Phil Mickelson won the PGA.
Awesome.
The one you played in.
Yeah.
Oldest ever major champion. Did you get to stick around? I know, obviously, you missed the cut. I don't need to pour salt. I don't know. You got to play in it. Hey, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. Did you stick around, watch the rest? Like, how what'd you do?
So Saturday, it was a beautiful day. We all went into Charleston, my buddies and I, and we just had a great, very fun place. A lot of rooftop bars and fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
So that was a great day. And then we woke up on Sunday. We planned on going. We obviously had time. They were teeing off at like 2:30 or whatever. We got there at 2, watched the entire round. Like, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Did you get inside the rope access too, coming back as a player, or no?
So I brought my badge. I had my car that they gave me. So we rolled right up to valet and just used that. Why not? But so my friends don't have all those passes. But when I walked up to a tent and they saw the player, I kind of had to work a little bit. But they were pretty nice to us.
Yeah,
they were pretty nice to us. There's a lot of people, man. I mean, but watching the match, Brooks was down 1 after 1, and then he was up 1 after 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
But the roar on 5 after he made that bunker shot, and I mean, that was, to be there, live, just watching that stuff was, and Phil doing what Phil does best, with a wedge in his hand. It was so cool, man. And then, I mean, the crowd just got bigger and bigger, and basically the whole freaking place was on 17 and 18.
Yeah, I remember comments that both Brooks and Phil made, and they weren't ripping. They just was like, everyone kind of surrounded them, and they were engulfed in the crowd.
Yeah.
What was that scene like?
Insane.
Oh.
Insanity. I mean, it was like being at a rave concert or something.
No
I mean,
shit.
it was straight madness. I mean, I didn't run into the fairway. I decided to kind of hold back. I didn't want to be like, oh, Tim Pearce, who missed the cut, tackled Phil. I didn't want to be that guy. So, or trip Phil or whatever it is. So he actually, where we were standing on the left side of 18 after his drive, it was literally 20 feet in front of us.
Okay.
And I hopped up on the rail, and I had a video of right behind him. And so,
damn,
we'll have to post it.
Friday Beers, I think, makes all those shirts
about
cool stuff, whatever. I was in one of the shirts that Phil hit his second shot on 18.
Oh, really?
I'm in the background,
oh hell yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So I had a great view, and then all my buddies decided to run, and I did find each other later on. But I told them I was at valet. So.
Just come find me at Valley, guys.
No, but it was epic. Man.
I feel like for those guys for them, you're only ever probably gonna have that one opportunity. Same thing for the guys that probably ran onto the fairway at Eastlake when Tiger was walking up the tour championship. You don't know how many of those opportunities you'll ever get in life. I think most people probably only get one. So I'm kind of with your buddies. Take full advantage of it.
It was we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it.
And it's hard because I would love to see more of that. At the Open, they let them run up to the green or something. But I get there's a player safety aspect to it. You don't know what some of these people could do.
Yeah.
Or there was that one time the guy ran out just to watch the punch shot that Tiger hit, and he nicked his leg. And it was oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah.
That could have been, oh my God.
Yeah. But there's an aspect to it. But yeah, either way.
But I mean, that whole experience of, I don't mind it,
No,
and I think they're going to start thinking about that when big things are about to happen. I mean, no one really knew Phil was going to really pull it off. He's playing with Brooks, who's won 3 of those things, or 2 of those things, and
2 PGAs, yeah.
2 PGAs.
4 majors, yeah.
And he's the guy. And he's playing against Phil, who's kind of, coming down, and he's the oldest guy, and just when is he going to fall off? He played solid the whole way. When is he going to have a couple bad holes? And is it going to come? And there's a lot of tough holes at Kiowa. And when basically we didn't know he was going to win until the last hole.
Yeah, I mean, we just didn't know. It was you're waiting. It's all right.
Holy shit, this is happening.
Yeah,
right now.
You're waiting for the pattern. When's Phil going to 3-whack this just out of nowhere? And he just didn't. That was it was almost
cool.
he was having an outer body experience that whole week. So
I think I'm trying to remember. I think it was 13 where he hit a hook. I think he had to hit a hook shot or something to get it on the green, and he hooked it into the water.
Yes.
But he was able to drop on the green. I remember when he hit in the water, I was like, what the fuck was he doing? Because he had I think it might have been a 2-shot lead. Yeah. But I think the concept in his mind was dude, if I hit in the water up by the green, I'm dropping on the green, I'm putting for par, 2-putt bogey, whatever. I'm in the shit. So Either way, I mean, it was the coolest thing. I know you're a huge lefty fan, Leach. I am. Of course, got to go against the grain. Well, we're both lefties.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fair.
What am I supposed to do now? You guys are on the same page with that?
No. He doesn't like Phil either.
No, I'm not a Phil guy.
Oh, you're not a Phil guy?
I'm not a Phil guy.
Oh, sarcasm.
No.
Yeah, no.
Got it.
Yeah,
no.
no.
I was very excited when he won.
He was very excited, and I think Phil's just always thought he's been cooler and better than, well, not better. I mean, he's very good at golf, but like, just feel like he's a bee's knees. Like, dude, you were never.
That's the thing. It's like you see that so much. It's like, is that real or is it fake? And that's pretty much the main point that people. Yeah, but like how he did it for 25 years? Or something?
That's right.
So it's like it's hard to put that face on for that long, and I know he's got a couple bad whatever. Yeah, everyone's got their things, but yeah.
Look, it
was pretty cool to see him win.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a cool story.
51-year-old winning, and like he basically was like, "Well, Tiger won that, like greatest comeback. Fuck that. I'm gonna go try to win a different one." Right. So both major wins are awesome. Just to get that in. Yeah, because I mean, for the most part, we like Tiger's last major was in 2008 when we were all pretty young. I think I was basically going to my freshman year in high school. Same with you, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, that was honestly the first golf tournament I had ever watched from start to finish.
Outside that, we haven't seen him win a major. So when he did that, and then obviously Phil had won, 2010, 2012, 16. He won or competed in the Open, and he won one. But like, still, just seeing those things and being able to be like present for what might not ever be done again was really cool to watch.
And I had one of my buddies out that had never been to a professional golf tournament.
Oh,
and he got to watch me play in it. Mm-hmm. And see Phil win a major.
Yeah, it's pretty tough
to
beat that.
At Kiowa. I mean, it was insane, man. Mm-hmm. It really was. So
did you get a local caddy?
I didn't. I brought a buddy of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought a buddy of mine.
That had to be a hard decision, no?
It was, but like we were going into the PPC, and like I was like, hey, I need a looper, and basically told him if we make it, like you're obviously coming with.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna help me.
Yeah.
And like not thinking about it, maybe. I mean, that situation is so different. If I was really able to maybe compete against those best players in the world, maybe I need some professional help. But like, we both had the greatest experience of our lives.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying. It's an experience you can share with your buddy. So
forever. So
awesome. I guess fast forward now, it's what? I mean, that was a year and a half ago, essentially.
Yeah, insane.
And 2022, obviously COVID happened, and golf it's the biggest it's ever been, right? And I worked in the golf business up until last year. I'm out of it, but I've been around. I've talked to guys that are still in the business, and they say now it's the craziest that working in the golf business has ever been. My brother still works at a golf course at Plum Hollow. You're still at Birmingham. I've talked to the guys at Force, like all these local clubs here in Metro Detroit, and they've all said the same things. Like, we're completely full. Everybody's playing golf now. Like, what do you attest that to COVID? Do you attest that to that people had nothing to do then? And do you enjoy that from a working in the business standpoint? Obviously, we're supposed to grow the game as, professionals. That's what we were taught. But I guess kind of give me your thoughts, because for me, at the end of last year, and even I think about working now, it was just so chaotic with the direction of where the golf business was going. Sure.
I mean, it is. There's no doubt about it. COVID had a lot to do with it. People couldn't do anything but golf for the most part outside, and everywhere. Every country club, every golf course, public facilities were doing everything that they could to still bring people in, whatever measures that is. So that was kind of a tough time to go through, just because it was very busy, and we were, kind of thrown this, safety protocols and all these things that you have to think about constantly with kids and clinics and carts and all those little things that go into it. But you do it for the membership, and you do it for the people, and you do it for the golf industry, and it's obviously thriving right now. And yes, I work a lot, but there's worse things that can happen, right? I mean, there's a lot of kids at our club specifically that want to play. We have 230 kids in our junior program that, and most of them are just like, let's play golf, and like that's cool, and we find things to do for them to grow the game, and I'm just happy that the game is growing. The unfortunate thing is that I think the golf industry is losing a lot of, professionals that want to be golf pros. So that, opposite chart that's happening right now, golf industry going up, assistants and professionals out there going down, and finding new things to do. It's important that we get kids to continue to get in the game, and that's our future. So right now it's a tough time for us, just working a lot and obviously very busy, and it's long hours, and I want to find time for my own things too, which is tough most of the time. But we're in a good spot, and I hope it keeps going. And I think I just, very optimistic about where the tour is going and what's happening in the golf world right now. And there's just so many good players, and I love it, man. You have to love it, right?
Yeah, I think that's, and forever, I'll always be forever grateful to the golf business. Like it changed who I was. Like I was a shy kid, didn't know how to talk to people. I remember when I first started caddying, like my stomach would hurt for I would say probably the first year I was caddying. I was 13 years old, and I didn't know how to talk to people. And then you hear, it's like, oh, this guy's the CEO of this company. This guy is the president of this company. You're like, holy shit. Like, I'm just some kid from Detroit. I don't know. Like, I shouldn't be among with these people, but it really changed my perception on, I guess, life and everything along those lines. And, for me, getting out, it's a totally different lifestyle, right? There's a totally work-life balance. I've played more golf than I ever have this year. There are definitely, like, I do miss a lot of the people, but I can confidently sit in here and say there's, like, besides maybe the invitational weeks, I thrived. I love putting on golf tournaments. Like that is something I really, really did enjoy. Everything else for me wasn't, I didn't like doing, obviously I didn't grow up playing, right? So for me, it was more of a job. And then I think it's definitely more enticing in the business for people that are really good players because of the opportunities that can come from it. And, but still, people out there may look at me as like, he's a really good player. It's like, well, then I look at somebody like you, it's like, well,
it's all subjective.
It's all subjective. There's levels to this shit, right?
Sure.
So, and I think that's what's so cool about the business in itself is that it can literally be whatever you want it to be, from either working, playing the game, or being a playing professional. Like that's what's, I think, so unique about it.
For sure. There's so many different routes you can take, and that develops. I'm still being developed. There's kids that go through college knowing exactly what they want to do, and they stick to it, and then maybe it changes. I mean, there's someone that you can meet. I can meet a guy tomorrow, just say, hey, you want to do this? And I'm like, wow, that's, for sure. So that much money? Yeah.
Exactly.
But no, just like, you just don't know what's going to happen, and things constantly change. And we go back to what you said about expectations. It's like, if you're trying to set a path to a certain goal, sure. But when you're trying to expect things to happen, if I do this, then this should happen. It's like, no, like just keep that open, and things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess kind of last thing before we kind of get back into like the major golf news is, obviously I think you just put the Assistants Championship here in Michigan just took place, correct?
Yes.
How did you fare in that? And I obviously, based on that response, it didn't go exactly how it went.
I just want to say it is the most fitting time to be on the Lip and Putts podcast.
You had a lot of LPs yesterday.
I counted. There was 11 lip outs from inside 5 feet.
Ooh.
36-hole event.
I was about to say, geez,
36-hole event.
That's like my numbers.
But it got so crazy. I had 5 in the first round. I'm like, I want to change putters. I want to do putt left-handed. I want to putt blindfolded. I mean, it was like insane. And then it just kept happening.
Do you wish you would have turned down your offer to come on this podcast? Because maybe we could have a bad omen.
No, we do. I mean,
no, when you guys were setting up earlier, I was like looking around. I'm like, oh, lip and putts. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm not over it yet.
Yeah.
So.
Just salt in the wound, baby. That's what we do.
No,
here.
I played okay. I missed the Nationals by 4 this year, and it's unfortunate because I feel like I can compete pretty well out of the assistants in the state. I played with 2 other guys that made it, and they're really good players. There's a lot of good competition in Michigan, whether it be PGA pros, amateurs, college players or mini tour guys or whatever. So we're lucky to just have that competition all the time.
Yeah, and I think a big part we're kind of looking forward to is you talked about Ben Cook a lot. He's definitely I think you can easily say it between him and Scott Hebert, like those are the best players in the state of Michigan when it comes to the PGA level. So he's gone out of the Michigan section now, so that's kind of opens up the door. He just played in the Rocket Mortgage this past year. The Michigan PGA is this upcoming weekend at Prestwick. So I mean, obviously your hopes is to go on and win that, and that gets you an automatic exemption into the Rocket Mortgage Classic the following year. That's at Detroit Golf Club, obviously a place that you spoke of. What would, winning that event and, getting an exemption into another PGA Tour event, especially at a place that is so near and dear to your heart, what would that kind of mean to you?
I mean, close to or even better than playing in a major, which I shouldn't even say it like that, but playing in the PGA was obviously the highlight of my life. But to be able to kind of create this story of going back to where I grew up and playing in a tour event, which it wasn't there back then. Who knows? It just developed, and now it's like wait, I'm a local guy. I grow the game, and I'm a good player, and I want to be able to play in this event, and we're lucky enough to have that opportunity. Yeah. I mean, next week's one of the biggest weeks I've been thinking about all year. I came really close last year. I came in third. I was, I think, 3 or 4 behind Ben by the end of the day, but I got within 1 at some point. And it was obviously on my mind, and I played super solid, but seeing him get that is like, gosh, that should be me, and the fact that, we've got a membership here that's extremely supportive of me. I've got my family here. I've got a ton of friends that would obviously come. That support would be insane there. And just like being able to walk those grounds with them and probably, having my dad there with me, who was obviously a member. And so, yeah, that's been on my mind for a long time, but obviously you can't really think about result. You just got to go play your game, man.
Right.
Don't limp any putts out.
I'm trying to like fathom that. Like, I grew up playing at Plum Hollow. You grew up at Walnut Creek. Like, could you that's a thought that couldn't even jump into my head.
I mean, if it's a course that you grew up, like, there's so much nostalgia to it. So much like just memories of stuff that you built off of, and being able to go play in an event like that. I think it'd be unbelievably important and invaluable and memorable. Like, that would be the epitome, not the peak, but like at this point, probably a very exciting thing
for sure.
And so obviously, best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be rooting you on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it would be.
I was gonna say, if you do qualify, one of us will offer to caddy for you next week. But I'm sure you got your one buddy on the bag.
No,
not next week or at the Rocket Mortgage. But
yeah, well, everyone's gonna be fighting for that spot.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say.
Yeah, we're probably out with just the name of.
I'm sure we'll have another.
Yeah, you do not want.
Yeah,
it'll just get me back on the pod.
We'll just get you.
Seat's pretty comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah, you know.
Maybe the seats will be out there at the Rocket Mortgage Classic next year.
There you
we
go.
did have the opportunity. We just couldn't. Too short a time. Like, we wanted to actually do a podcast from out there, but
that'd be awesome.
Too short a time. Sam's life's been really busy. It's finally slowing down. So sorry, I just spoke in the third person.
Yeah,
but you've been busy too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
Tim's excited to play next week.
Plus, we don't want to record from the Rocket Mortgage unless you're playing in it. So
that's actually why.
Okay, that's our excuse.
Can we make a deal?
Yeah.
We're going.
Yeah,
if I play, we're doing this.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we'll lock it in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. No questions asked.
I'm playing for you guys next week.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Dedicate.
That's just added more pressure.
I'll dedicate to the Lip and Putts podcast. Yeah, there we go.
I'll throw you on the tour bag.
Ooh, there we go.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Let's go.
Hey, there we go.
I'm about to go out there and just start. I know all the good players in the Michigan PGA site. I'm just going to start Tanya Harding their ass.
Tanya Harding their ass. Yeah, put that on the airwaves.
Yeah,
well, I guess, I don't, this could be an interesting segue. Do you know many guys who are playing on the Korn Ferry Tour? These guys, I mean, we're winding down to the Korn Ferry season. They got one more event left to lock up those 25 cards, and they have the Korn Ferry Finals. This past week, Andrew Cozen, who had missed like 10 straight cuts, wins, goes from 153rd to 41st. So now he's at least clinched a spot in the Korn Ferry Finals, and depending on how he finishes this week, he could earn a spot. But, like, earning those cards is a big deal. But do you know many guys
So Brett White is kind of the only guy that I watch because I've played with him a few times. He won the Michigan Open the year I got to play with him, and his story is unbelievable. I don't know if you guys know his story.
Not really.
I don't want to tell the wrong part of it, but basically he had, like, a brain tumor that he basically had to relearn how to walk.
Jesus.
Like, not too long ago either. So he was he's a guy that, and obviously one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life, and just his outlook on life and how he handles his game and what's important to him and how he's dealt with all that stuff. And I know he got full status on the Korn Ferry this year, and I think he's been playing really well. He started out great, maybe a couple top 20s and top 30s and things like that, but I'm not sure exactly where he stands now. But he there he is right there.
Yeah, 128.
Yeah, so he's a little far down, but it was really cool to watch him kind of compete in some tournaments. I know he was really close a couple of the weeks, and but just what a great story, this guy. And his sister is playing Epson Tour and won once or twice, or once last year, once this year, something like that. And just that whole story is really cool. And Michigan guy, obviously, I'd always support that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was watching the Utah Championship this weekend, and they showed him on TV, and I did the Leo DiCaprio point, like Michigan, like that's I know him. Well, I don't know, I don't personally know him, but I knew because he's won the Michigan Open and stuff. Sam, you should be a fan of him. He's the lefty, so
of course, then I'm fully on board.
Yeah, you're on board. Now you got your Korn Ferry guy.
Yeah, him and Akshay.
You're a big lefty
Akshay,
guy?
Yeah, you just got to support the lefties.
Yeah.
Come on now, Akshay. That's why I've been following Akshay literally.
Yeah, I mean, true. I guess. I mean, I thought that guy was he needed I believe a T2 T2 or higher to get to
Brett
his
White?
Akshay
to officially clinch. But I think I saw he can get a T14 this week.
Correct.
Because he's in 30th.
Right.
So yeah, there's some guys. I mean, I would recommend anyone who's out there or able to watch golf on Sunday. You obviously have the FedEx St. Jude first playoff event, and there's a lot of golf to consume. But this last week of the Korn Ferry basically regular season is really exciting because it means so much to these guys.
Totally. So
much. That it's just really fun to watch and see him. And there's going to be probably 2 or 3 guys who are outside the 25 right now who will get in. And it could be a guy who is in 85th right now and wins. There's so many different outcomes that could happen. But it'll just be fun to watch those things.
Totally.
So
totally. I mean, you got a 35, 40-year-old or whatever that's been grinding forever that somehow makes it, or a young kid on his first try. There's just so many stories that come out of those, which is really fun to watch.
Yeah, Pearce and Cootie. He's 29th right now. One of the other young guys who's
super young,
trying to get. Yeah, he got in basically through PGA Tour U.
Right,
and he has a win. So he's had a pretty good season since graduating, and getting some of those exemptions. He's played in 7 events and he's 29th on the list right now. So, but either way, I would recommend watching that. The guy who did win though, Andrew Cozen, again, like. It's crazy how a guy can miss 9, 10 straight cuts in a row and then pick up a win out of nowhere. Like
that tells you something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally have the worst hole, best hole, worst shot, best shot, back to back. That's just what golf's like. You just got to stick to it every single time. Mental game. Every shot is a new day. Just do the best you can.
It's a funky game, man.
It is. I love it though. Can't perfect it.
Yeah. Well, and then the other big news. I mean, Ashley Buhay, who I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I'd like to think I follow somewhat within women's golf. I never had heard of her. She wins the Women's Open Championship. She had a triple bogey on the 15th hole, parred the last 3, and ends up getting into a playoff. She had a pretty big lead, had this triple bogey, ends up winning, I think, on a 4-hole playoff because Inji Chun made a bogey on that. Just a big deal. I mean, they played at Muirfield first time the women have ever played at Muirfield, which is it's awesome. Funny to still think that, but really good just in general. I really, and you might laugh at this because you're a really good player and you can relate your game much more to some of the PGA Tour, but I really enjoy watching the women because I think my game is more relatable to their game, distance-wise, the way they hit the ball. I'm a big fan of the classy 9-iron chips, the bump and run, so I do enjoy watching. I wasn't able to watch a ton of this, unfortunately, but no, I don't know. I wish they would get more of a spotlight than they do.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, when I teach lessons, I reference them a lot just because how they play the game is so, it doesn't matter where they are in the world, doesn't matter what shot they're looking at, they swing at the same tempo, same everything. It's like they're robots. And then their short game is just the same way. It's like these guys are versatile. The PGA Tour, very versatile, shot shapes, different swings. These girls, man, they can play. Yeah,
their skill is incredible. And it's just, I'm not saying that the men don't have that skill either, but it's just, I don't think people respect it enough.
For sure.
Based on it.
I watch it whenever it's on.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'd love to see, which we've talked about a few different times, a mixed event. Whether, like the solution I said, they should mix the President's Cup because the U.S. just drums the world typically.
Yeah.
And then with what's going on with LIV, there's people leaving. That team, the world team's really kind of diminishing. But if you added the women to it, it would be all of a sudden a completely different ball game. And there's a way to do it. And they have the European Tour event. But I just think that'd be cool to do and mix it up. But I guess maybe a good transition. And I don't know how much of an opinion you want to offer on LIV. Our big thing is we don't have an opinion on if we'd like it or not. I think where our opinion, specifically the politics behind it, really, we just enjoy different types of golf. And what it's done is created a platform where the PGA Tour is having to really look at the way they have done things in the past, and they're trying to adjust it to keep some of these players competitive. But I guess, do you have much of an opinion on it?
It's at first it was just sad, right? Like, it's so much confusion with what's going on, who's going to sign, and what are their intentions and everything like that. It was just more of, I love watching. I watch golf literally whenever I'm home on the couch. I'm watching Golf Channel, whether it be Golf Today or whatever. But it's just sad to see that a DJ is the kind of guy that I loved and love and respect, and just I think his demeanor is amazing, and just the way he just goes about his day and wins majors, and I just think that he was awesome. So it was sad to see him go, and just it was just sad. I mean, there's a lot of tension between the two tours, and what's having to happen to create good change is unfortunate. But I think in the end of the day, it's going to be a good thing for both. Who knows what's going to happen going forward? But I haven't watched much LIV, to be honest with you. I just love my PGA Tour, and it's not saying that will change, but hopefully there's a merger or something that comes about this.
Yeah,
I want to watch the best players in the world.
Yeah, and that's what we've speculated a ton on this, and I don't want to rehash different points we've made. But the one thing we did, I think Leach and I basically agreed on, was the major was so exciting, both the U.S. Open and the Open, because all of a sudden all these players were back together.
Yes.
And it's probably going to be even more magnified, assuming that's the case next year. We don't know what's going to happen with the LIV players and the majors, but assuming it's the case, like it's really going to be heightened because all these players are combined together again. Whereas typically they were at the Genesis together, they were at the Arnold Palmer, the Memorial, all these higher profile events. So it'll be interesting, yeah, for sure. You're right. I don't know if the way they went about doing it was the best way to change the game, but I do think there's going to be positives that come from it.
Yeah, and I just think that, like, honestly, the best part about it is that I said a couple years back, starting to think about how many guys are, like, I went to Corn Ferry last year, and I'm thinking about all these guys that have tried this specific Q school route year after year after year after year, and spending all this money and playing in mini tours and grinding their life away to just get a chance at playing a tour event. And there's so many good players out there. I've played with a lot of guys that have never played in a tour event that I am like, how? Because they hit it just as good as them. They hit it flush. They get up and down from everywhere. They're calm. Everything about them is like, you scream tour status. So I think that the good thing about it is that we're going to have a lot more guys with more opportunities. Because that one spot, like you said, I mean, like, what's his name that missed it, 126?
Matt Wallace?
No.
Justin Lauer.
Missed the putt. Justin Lauer
Yeah.
and my buddy down in Florida. I mean, things like that is just heartbreaking. So a matter of that one spot, any opportunity you can get is huge. And I think that's the best thing that's going to come out of this, just the opportunity and, getting more guys, more starts, and because they deserve it. So
yeah. Well, and I guess in the news with it is LIV Golf Tour players filed a suit against the PGA Tour. There's 11 players who filed the suit, specifically 3 being Taylor Gooch, Hudson Swafford, and I don't know if it was Kevin Na, who was the other. 3 of them would have qualified for the FedEx Cup, and so they're basically trying to figure out if they can play or not, which I don't even want to try to get into the legal jargon. I'm not an attorney. I do IT staffing over here, so like I can't pretend to know that. It'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, some of the guys were able to play in the Scottish Open, so we don't know what's going to happen from there. But there's probably going to be an announcement between the time of us recording this podcast and when we end up posting it, which to see, hey, what is going to happen on if these guys can play. And then there's a lot of other things kind of moving forward. But either way, yeah, I think there's different things that can come from it.
Not to really cut you off, but I actually, this is the one thing I would say out of everything that has happened is that I got a pretty strong opinion on, because to me, this doesn't make sense whatsoever.
Okay, yeah, let's hear.
Like, so, I mean, you got all these guys left the tour. You know, they knew what they were doing when they were leaving the tour. They knew there was going to be repercussions for it. They wanted to, whatever their excuses was, they wanted to play less golf. They wanted to make more money, whatever that may be. Fine. I think everybody understood that. And whether the way you went about it, that was some of the issues that kind of laid at hand. But now to see all these guys back on this lawsuit saying, oh, they're not letting me play. Like, I should be allowed to play. Like, I did all this stuff. Like, yada, yada, yada. Like, no, there should be consequences for your actions, and you not being able to play the PGA Tour, like, this is part of it. Like, that's part of the deal. Like, again, this is not me shitting on LIV or anything along those lines, but for these players, this lawsuit makes no sense. Like, if it was just the 3 guys that wanted to play at FedEx, that's fine. We talked about that. We said, like, okay, maybe there is no outline saying, hey, you can't play in this. But for all these guys like Bryson DeChambeau, who was out most of the year because of a hand injury, Patrick Reed, like all these guys that weren't going to qualify for the event, now you're back on this lawsuit because you want them to let you play wherever. Like, no, that's not how this works. And people are like, I got asked the questions like, you don't think they should be able to play wherever they want? No, like, they signed a contract to go play LIV golf. Like, that's what it is. Like, you didn't live up to the standards of what the PGA Tour is. Most of you resigned. So, like, why? There should be no reason for you to take action. And kind of back to your Dustin Johnson comment, he was one of the few guys that did not put his name on this lawsuit, because I think he knew the bed that he made and he's choosing to sleep in it.
For sure.
And all these guys just want to have the best of both worlds. It's like, dude, just pick one or the other. Yeah, you can't have both.
And I agree with you, actually. Like, from a standpoint of, like, I tend to disagree just because I'm that guy, but no, I agree. Like, they knew what the repercussions were
Right.
if they chose to do this. So then to kind of go back and file a suit, it seems like why? Like it may be something you should have done prior to it and say, hey, like I feel like I should be able to. But yeah, it's this whole antitrust thing, and it's like, well, it's a membership organization, so do they have that ability, but they can't limit people from specific rights?
I mean, there's a possibility that they were told that there might be a loophole at some point,
Right.
Oh, I'm sure that's what Liv was saying. Liv was like, we'll back you.
Yeah, and the negotiations and all that stuff, like, there's someone telling them, hey, like, you never know. We actually might pull this off to where you could play both.
Right, and I look at a guy like Taylor Gooch, who, it's been noted that he has come out and said, like, I honestly was going to only play in the one event, and I thought I was just going to come back to the PGA Tour. Like, that's like somebody telling you the oven's hot, and you don't believe them, and then you touch it, and they're like, oh, shit, like, it actually was
and
hot.
I'm going to sue you because it burned me.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, I'm just like, that's just basic common sense. And obviously there's so much legality that's going to go into this that I don't know about, you don't know about. Like, I'm not a lawyer. And, Max Homa, I think, got the best comment of the entire week. He said, holy hell, I was like, I had no idea there's so many lawyers on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
But from that standpoint, like, I look at it from just a basic common knowledge situation. It was like, okay, you wanted to go to LIV Golf, you went, be gone, be happy. And these guys just can't do that for whatever reason. Is they cannot be gone and be happy, because, like, I think part of him is like second guessing, is like, okay, maybe this isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. We saw the videos from Bedminster of, the music playing, the caddies yelling at people, the players yelling at people. Like, part of I think, they're going to sit there and say it's great, because they don't have any other option right now. But I guarantee you, in a year or two from now, like, you could be looking at a situation where it's like, dude, I made a mistake.
Yeah, well, and here's my whole opinion on, like, people yelling in, and I get, like, golf's a gentleman game and we have to respect, but it's like, hey, man, like, any other, like, Brooks always talked about, like, wanting to play in, like, a real sporting event. Like, I love the waste management, the crowds, it's like a real sporting event. Well, like, hey, what happens in real sporting events, you travel around the world, and if you're not on that person's team, they're going to MF you, like, courtside in an NBA game. So, like, you can't whine and complain when these things happen.
Yeah.
It's all out. The one thing, and we actually talked about Andy Ogletree and like, why did he ever do that? Now, the one thing, so listening to another podcast, and they referenced it, and they were saying the issue, there's certain things where the PGA Tour might be in trouble with. And, like, he's a good example, because, like, he only had conditional status on the Korn Ferry Tour. Literally didn't have an ability to make starts the few of the weeks that he ended, the 1 week he played in LIV. So, like, he went and played in LIV because he didn't have, like, he didn't do it because, and he elected not to play in Korn Ferry. He did it because he wasn't able to play in the Korn Ferry event based on his status. So then they're like, well, how can you prohibit that? Because he literally didn't have an ability to start. So there's all those things. That's completely different situation than what we're talking about here. But I just felt like I needed to.
No, I think that, like, for a guy like that kind of makes sense. It's like, if I'm not allowed to play in any type of PGA Tour event,
thing we've talked about.
Yeah, then all right, then you should be allowed to play in that event, right? Like, that's one situation I'm not going to knock. But it's from these guys, and
the big name.
And I think you can adamantly see that Taylor Gooch is like, I fucked up. Like, I think that's kind of where his brain, and he's not going to say it. Like, he can't
come out and say it.
Yeah, but he's sure, oh, this is great. It's better than Ryder Cup.
Yeah, that's the atmosphere. It's Ryder Cup.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Like, this guy is just, to me, it's treading water, like, trying to, like, figure life out. Like, again, he's making tons of money now. Like,
he's in the midlife crisis.
I don't feel bad for him by any means, because he is making this money playing golf.
You're getting signed to pay. You're getting paid a ton of money to go play golf. You got to be able to deal with some of the fucking backlash you're going to get.
Right,
but
exactly.
That money shadows so much of that. You know what I mean? They don't even think about that. The money, that number at the top of the page is.
Yeah, but like the Taylor Gooch situation is by far, I think, the most entertaining situation to walk out of it. I mean, when you see stuff from Patrick Reed and Bryson, like, that's just who those personalities were. Like, again, I think when all the announcements got made of the guys leaving, Taylor Gooch was up there for me, the guy that was surprised. And I think he even surprised himself not being able to come back to the PGA Tour.
No, I mean, you saw, he said, he's like, dude, I didn't think we were actually going to get banned. Like, sorry. And I was doing a one-off event.
Like, and there were situations that I've had as a kid. It's like, yeah, my mom's not actually going to ground me for this. And then you do it and you're like, oh shit, she actually did ground me. So
she wasn't bluffing.
Yeah.
PGA Tour wasn't bluffing.
Yeah. He got his bluff called. So I mean, you live and you learn.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we got the FedEx St. Jude Classic this week. 125 players, cuts down to 70 for the BMW Championship the following week. I guess while you're on here, Tim, you got to give us a pick who you think's going to win.
Oh my goodness!
And I also want you to make a pick of someone who's not going to win, and they can't be like
the BMW.
They can't be, not the BMW, the FedEx St. Jude this week, but they can't be. I don't want you to pick someone like Max McGreevy, who's not going to win, who doesn't have a PGA Tour win. Like, I want a big name. The reason I do is because I said Tony Finau wouldn't win back-to-back weeks, and he won both weeks. So, like, I'm hoping this person wins. Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Hey, the weeks outside, though, I picked Cam Smith and Tom Kim. So
the last year I came on Woodward Sports, and I told him Joaquin Niemann's going to win the Rocket Mortgage. He goes bogey free and lost.
Yeah, got in the playoff.
He made a bogey in the first
for 72 holes.
First bogey was on the 73rd in the playoff.
Unbelievable, dude. Like, that's not even. That should be like you get a trophy for that.
You should.
So that was all the other picks I picked sucked, but I don't know, man. For the guys that are, I mean, those lower like Webb Simpson, I saw that was pretty low down.
Yeah, Webb Simpson 121.
He's been
22. Excuse me.
He's solid, man.
You like him
he's
this week?
super solid. He has to make a big jump. He's been there before. He knows what he's doing. The guys that are there that are still fighting for that extra little status or whatever it gets you. You can talk about those guys, but Webb's he's got the experience. He's gonna play well. Who's been playing well?
I put you on the spot asking you to put a name.
You kind of did. I mean, I didn't know this was gonna happen, but
well,
I
can give you.
Finau's been playing well.
Yeah, I can give you.
Ju Young, Tom Kim.
I mean, he's of course got to win. Granted, I mushed him. Like, guy was in first place this time. I start watching him. He comes in 50.
Let me just say,
that was your fault.
Just give me Will Zalatoris to win.
Hey, new caddy. We haven't even talked about that too. Hold up. I'm glad you brought that up. Yep. Dude split from his caddy mid-tournament.
Yeah,
it's a good pick. First off. Because it's not going to be a higher scoring.
He's ridiculous. Everyone, you can talk about his driving game. You can talk about his putting game. The dude rolls it perfect.
How's his putting
whatever.
stroke?
Who cares what your swing looks like, man?
You
know what I mean?
Thank you.
Ball gets in the hole.
Ball's in the hole. He makes putts from everywhere. He's due. He's definitely due. He hasn't put a 72-hole tournament together. But he has some crazy 18-hole days that you're like, how does he not win?
Yeah. So. Well. I like that pick. So what's your thoughts on splitting with a caddy midweek? And he said it was the toughest decision he's ever had to make in his golf career. But I'm just like, why are you doing it in the middle of the event? Like, there had to have been something that caused that.
Probably.
And he basically alluded to we've had some arguments. It's spilled over into our personal relationship, and so but he didn't really elaborate more on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much behind the scenes, obviously, that none of us know. But you go back to where Bryson broke up with Tim Tucker last year, I think.
That's Rocket Mortgage.
Was it Rocket?
Yeah,
it was Rocket, right?
It was the Wednesday practice round.
It's like you don't know what was, if they got into a personal argument, if it was a work thing, if it was a decision that they made. You just don't know. But obviously, it's got to be pretty severe for that to happen in the middle of a round.
Well, to me, like, when I saw those guys out there, I was like, that looks like it's his uncle or his dad caddying.
I know.
I thought it was his dad. We talked about that. He looked like his dad.
He kind of looked very similar.
Picked him off the street.
Yeah.
Leach, who do you got winning?
Ooh,
right on the spot.
Why not ride the hot hand? I'm going with Tony Finau.
Okay.
Like, the floodgates are open.
Hat-trick, 3 in a row.
3 in a row. Like, how? Like, I would love to see Tony Finau just go on a tear right now. Like, this is a guy that I think everybody in the world's kind of wanted
Billy
to happen
Horschel
for.
FedEx tear, basically.
Yeah, that would be. Sign me up for that.
I mean, he was due. He was so long. You see this guy runner up every tournament, top fives and majors, and just cannot close the door. I mean, you knew that was going to happen. I'm really happy for him. Obviously, a really cool guy, and like good for the tour, good for the fans, everything, right? So, yeah.
You want to hear my insane picks for I don't think he's going to win?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me say.
What are the odds on that?
I got to make my 3 names just to say, and one of them is going to win. I picked to win is Cam Young. I think he's going to win this week.
Okay.
Similar to Will Zalatoris. He's been knocking on the freaking door.
I mean, we're picking like the 3 hottest players.
Yeah, hot takes. But 2 names I will say to think about this week. One guy who's like well outside the top 70. I think he's like 95th. I do think he's going to bounce in. Jason Day. I like him for some reason.
Just WD last week, though, so.
Was he hurt?
I don't know. I didn't see the reason. He did WD.
He's been starting to play a little. Did you say Ricky?
Breaking news.
Oh, breaking news. He's hurt.
But then he actually, as soon as you said his name, he hurt his back.
Yeah,
again,
he's but then Aaron Wise. I do like him. I think he's been trending much better. So those are 2 names just to watch out for. But who's not going to win?
Scotty Scheffler.
Oh. Why?
I just think I think Scotty's going to start like cooling off a little bit, and Scotty's cooling off is going to be like a top 20 finish, but that's my prediction for him.
So I'm seeing Cameron Smith in the field. Is he playing?
Yeah, he's in the field. Why didn't you think he wasn't?
He's pretty good.
I think he's not going to win.
Okay. That's probably a good one to pick.
Do you think because of all the LIV noise surrounding him?
And now it's starting to break out, and there's a lot of conversations.
I just think like this course is one where you actually have to drive the ball a little straighter, and doesn't fit him as well as other places.
Well, I guess since we brought him up too, Cam Smith is, we've talked about it already on this podcast before, but I just wanted to say too, I do believe he is going, because he has not come out like when I believe the rumors came out with Spieth, immediately got on social media.
Same with Morikawa.
Yeah, all those guys put something out and said, "Hey, I'm not going." You haven't heard a peep out of Cam Smith. Like, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. He's going to play. I think he wants to play
gone.
the President's Cup, and then he's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you saw that, like, Cameron, there's this whole confusing thing, and I don't even know if we should talk about it because, like, we don't really know how validated it is, but it was, like, golf Twitter with Cameron Percy.
Yeah.
Who said something about, like, Leash and Smith leaving. He's one of their buddies in Australia. I don't know. It's confusing. But, yeah, I think they're both gone. I think Adam Scott's gone, but I think they want to play the President's Cup one more time.
Huge win for Cam, though.
Okay, so you're taking Scotty. I'm taking Cam. Who do you, one guy not to win?
Are you taking... You took who?
I took Cam.
Smith?
To not win.
Young or Smith?
I took Cam Young to win.
I said his name, and then you go, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll take that.
No, I was going right to it. Fine, I'll say Patrick Cantlay. He's actually been playing good
Let's
golf.
just say Xander.
Okay, yeah.
Let's say Xander.
The top three.
I think he got a little hot streak there, and I don't know where he's been ever since.
Yeah. What about John Rahm's been? It's been an off year for him.
Just very bland.
Yeah. I don't
watch him just go on a tear now.
He's got new perspective. Yeah, that's what I'm
when
trying to speak it into existence.
When we won at Torrey, it was like, how does this guy not win every single tournament?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Hits driver perfect. Hits long irons perfect. Hits putters perfect. How do you
not? Right.
I will say I'm looking at the pairings right now, and you have a Scotty Scheffler, Cam Smith, Sam Burns pairing. Then you got a Xander, Patrick Cantlay. Don't know if you know those two guys are best friends. They don't talk about that on every broadcast.
Well, they played in the Zurich Classic together.
They're playing with Rory.
Did you know that? You know they played in the Zurich Classic.
Yeah, and they won.
Oh,
yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be a good tournament to watch. They'll obviously have like the projected points and everything. But
I do think the FedEx Cup playoffs have gotten very good over the last few years.
Yeah, I think it's entertaining. I mean, it's the playoffs. It's cool. I do think I like the changes they're making though too. We did have something on here to say like what's one thing you would do to change the playoffs, but that could take us down a rabbit hole, especially with the stupid ideas I have. Put the hockey net in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, you got grilled on that one. Yeah. We had an episode. He was talking about what could make LIV golf better, and he said something about putting a hocky net in the middle of the fairway.
I was relating it to the RBC Canadian, how they do something. I was like, oh, they should get like 3 strokes off if they do that. And then I was using it as an outrageous example of something stupid they could do to really steer into this crazy.
Who's going to take that idea?
They should. Go ahead. The only thing I say is get rid of fucking shotgun. I hate that.
Yeah, we're anti-shotgun guys. Even though working in the golf business, we like shotguns because tournaments get over quicker.
I get it, but I agree.
Yeah,
I'm a tee time guy.
Birdie bogey of the week though. Do you know what the birdie bogey of the week is? So it's pretty self-explanatory. You know what happened that was good in the past week, what happened that was maybe more of a bogey in the week,
and it could be anything. It doesn't have to relate to your golf game. So. Do you want to go, Nick? I always kick this thing off because Sam, I feel like, doesn't.
I actually have this ready for one.
Oh, did you actually have it? All right, then go ahead because I feel like you didn't.
I'll start with my bogey of the week.
Okay.
I was winning the quarterfinal match against one of my close buddies. Missed a 2-footer on 16, 117 to go 1 up heading into 18. Had a wedge from 90 yards in on a par 5. He was in the green side bunker in 2. But basically, I'm like, if I put this on the green 2 putt, he has to get up and down from a not so great bunker. I 4-head one over the green, chipped 7 feet, and what happens? I lip out the putt to win the match, and then lost on the 20th hole. So that's my bogey of the week. The birdie is I tied for first in qualifying, and I won the losers bracket on Sunday, which is just all the guys who didn't qualify. We played like a round while the semis were going on, and I had the low score in that. So I won.
You want to be the winner of the losers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really good at that. I won the open flight 3 years ago, and I didn't qualify for the club championship.
Does that just make you like a sandbagger though, from that standpoint? Because you like
because I don't qualify. Like what you could say is like the lights are just too bright for me, and I got to learn how to play when the bright. You know what I'm saying.
All right,
too much pressure. The lights are bright now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll go with. I'm gonna start mine with the bogey. Sam's birdie and bogey of the week, by the way, is always golf related.
It could be anything.
Hey, next week we might have a non-golf related birdie, but I want to wait until.
All right, that's fair. All right, so my bogey of the week is I had a debilitating migraine on Sunday. And I don't know if it was because of the sun, but like when I get migraines, you know how girls say guys turn into bitches when
they're sick?
They're sick.
My girlfriend says it all the time.
Yeah, that was me with this migraine on Sunday. Like I was in rough shape. I was Went downstairs. I put like ice in a rag and had it over my eyes. Like I was trying to do all.
That
the
was the hottest day of the year so far.
It was. So I think it was all definitely weather related. But I was full bitch mode on Sunday with that going on. So that was 110% my bogey of the week. And then my birdie of the week, I will say, is probably on Saturday. Weeknights for me right now is like tonight I'll go home and I'll edit the podcast, and then when Thursday and Wednesday I'll do some editing too. Saturday I slept until like 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Phenomenal. From
like midnight to like 1 o'clock. And
I don't know how you do that, but
how do you?
Dude, I am a sleeper. Like if I'm out and I have no alarm set, I guarantee you I could sleep 12 hours every single time.
I was able to sleep in till I think 7 a.m. Sunday morning. I woke up at 4:30, couldn't go back to sleep. And then for work on Monday, I woke up at 5, couldn't go back to sleep before my alarm.
I'm still waiting for the day where people are like as you get older, you're supposed to sleep less and less. That doesn't like if I have no alarm set, like watch out. I will sleep the entire day.
Teach me your ways, man.
Well, and then I got the blackout shades in my room too, so especially like I had no idea what time it was when I woke up.
Being in the golf industry, you get up every day, so like
right.
Like today, perfect example, forgot to set my alarm last night, woke up in time for junior golf. It's great. But I would say that when I sleep, it's the heaviest sleep you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like in college, I slept through a fire alarm. A fire alarm, and my buddies like woke me up in the morning. They're like, "Where were you last night?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, he's like, you didn't get up for the fire alarm. I'm like, you didn't wake me up for the fire alarm? Like, you were just gonna let me lay there?
Yeah, he'll get up. Like what?
Yeah. I guess my dad was watching Cops over this weekend. I was over at their house, and there's a guy there's a burglar alarm going off, and this guy was just sleeping on the bench. I was like, I get it. I've been tired enough. I could do that. I might be.
There might be other things involved.
Yeah, I mean,
the only time that's
maybe
with me
alcohol.
is alcohol, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I could sleep through anything. But yeah, that was my birdie by far.
Probably felt great.
I needed a good 12 hours of sleep, and I got it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
All right, you want to give a shot for your birdie and bogey of the week?
Oh. Can I have like a little extra time maybe? Since
you can have as much time as you
want.
I
think the week of the Rocket. So last year Joel Damon and his caddy came to play Birmingham, unplanned. I just jumped in the group. It happened to be on my birthday, and we got to play golf, and it was awesome. Stayed in contact with them. So as soon as maybe 5 or 10 minutes after they missed the cut at the Rocket, Gino texted me, his caddy, and was like, "Where are we playing tomorrow?" So like I brought them out to Birmingham and had an unbelievable day. We played in the morning, and then obviously went to the Rocket in the afternoon. So that was a pretty good day for me, and that's kind of the highlight of the summer so far. So I wanted to just.
So he did that this week.
He did that
at the Rocket.
Were you talking about this year? Not
so
last
yeah, Saturday morning.
Was it last year when he missed the cut? He like sent a text or tweeted out like, "Who wants to play me this?" That was not at the Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, it was something else because he played well at the Rocket last year.
Okay, yeah.
He came over Wednesday, and then this week he missed the cut and was like, "Where are we playing tomorrow?"
That's awesome.
That was pretty fun, and he brought out Andres Gonzalez.
Okay.
Who used to play on tour, Handlebar Mustache.
Oh, okay.
He caddies for Ryan Moore sometimes and kind of grinds.
Yeah, he caddied for someone that week.
It
was Ryan.
Yeah,
okay.
Barely missed the cut and everything. So we had obviously 3 amazing guys and just good golf. And Joel is just all he wants to do on his free time is not grind and just go play like anywhere and just have a couple beers and hang out with some cool guys.
Shit, we might have to get him a country club rotation around Detroit next time he's here or something.
Yeah.
Well,
so
remember I said cool. on the Sunday of the Rocket, it was Saturday or Sunday, I walked in and the entrance, he was just among the fans, just backwards hat, Seattle hat on, T-shirt, golf shorts.
He's the guy's guy, dude.
Yeah, it seems like it.
He's really, really cool.
Might have an avenue for
also,
Joel.
shout out to Joel. Gonna be a new father soon.
Have Joel and Gino on. That'd be
awesome. We might need you on the Lip and Putts podcast.
All right, we can do that.
All right, we'll have to make that. All right, you got a bogey of the week or bogey? I guess you can do a bogey of the summer for you. Just make it a little bit easier.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't like to talk about the negative things.
Not a whole lot. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess yesterday is still fresh on the mind with Lip and Putts.
There you go. You can say that,
and it's fitting. But not many bogeys, man. I have a lot of good highlights from this year. Obviously, I haven't played well enough to do anything crazy this year so far, but looking forward to the next. Looking forward to switching putters or doing something. But I would just say fresh in the mind, lifting putts yesterday is probably the most frustrating thing. And when you play super well and hit good golf shots and hit good chips or good lag putts and the guys respect it, and then the next one is missed, it doesn't matter, right? So, like, there's some things to work on, but that would probably be my bogey or multiple bogey of the week.
I guess this might be kind of a good segue to, a good conversation. We had a good one last week with our gimme putts. And so when you guys play bad, especially if you're putting or chip, it's a me thing or it's an equipment thing? Because to me, like, there's tons of people out there, right, that have 20 different putters out there, 25 different putters, and it's always the putter, it's always the clubs. It's never that. Like, I played with guys like, and we've seen members that, oh, it wasn't me, like this head got all crooked, is like something doesn't feel right with this club. I've seen those guys. But for me, like, I have 2 putters that I love, and I know if I just start putting bad, it's me. Like, I'm not a person that's going to go buy another putter. It's like, oh, look, check this out, I'm going to putt so much better now that I bought a new putter. Like, that's not me. Like, I feel like the equipment I have is always top of the line and top tier. So I get in my own head that I was like, all right, I start trying to tweak stuff with my swinger setup.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, from someone who literally, I had the yips in college. I went to a belly putter, if you didn't know that. Oh, breaking news.
Hopefully you got rid of it.
Yeah, I had it for about a semester, and then I said, no, I can't do this. But I would get to the point, I'd hit 14 greens around, I shoot like 82 with 45 putts, or so. It was brutal, terrible. But when that stuff happens, yeah, like for me, I do think there's an aspect to like switching putters just to switch something up, and give you somewhat of confidence. But yeah, it's the Indian, it's not the arrow. That's what I've always said. Is you can never blame the equipment for something, especially usually the issues that I have, which are around the greens or chipping or something. Like, it's not my equipment; it's the fact that I suck.
It's very rarely the equipment. I mean, golf is obviously the most mental sport.
Yeah,
very, very mental sport that requires you to, if that's in your head, it's not going to stop being out of your head, and it's everyone else's fault, and it's the equipment's fault, it's the course's fault, it's your lie's fault, you got a bad lie. I mean, there's so many different things, but like your mind is immediately going to go to, what's wrong with this thing?
Yeah.
Like, it can't be me, right? I just hit a perfect shot on the last hole. So, I mean, it's such a mental thing that people need to realize, like, we need to practice more, and like to get better, you're not going to just like get lucky.
Yeah, and to Sam's point too, I've had the same 2 putters for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, and if I just need it like a mental switch, I just literally switch to the putter out, and then I'll eventually know I'm going back to the other one or something along those lines. That's a cure.
That's a great thing to do. Like, I have these like putters that I'll use for 1 18-hole round, just like playing at Birmingham or whatever, just to get to look at something different, feel something different. Different weights, different grips, whatever it is, and then go back to your baby, and things will work out.
So you'll like this too. I'll even, and if I get to these issues where like the mental aspect is really starting to take a toll, and I'm afraid to hit the shot and stuff, I'll close my eyes on putts. Swear to God.
I laugh every time you say that.
And people like Jordan Spieth does the look at the hole type thing. I've putted right-handed before, like for a round. I've done everything, but yeah, it always comes back to like, if I switch something up, it's a Band-Aid for basically a day or 2, but when I go back, usually it's kind of gone. So that's kind of why I've always done.
I would just say, if I get a tip of the day,
don't close
your eyes. Putt. Perfect example is Jordan's looking at the hole, right? I mean, like, everyone's taught to, when we have a 2, 3, 4, 5 footer, we can see the hole in our eyes.
Yeah.
So everyone gets very excited about, I should be making this. If I make this is a great par, whatever you want to tell yourself. And so people get caught up in the result of that putt that, you know, at impact, people are starting to look at what's going on, and they're actually throwing off their putter. So however you want to station your eyes, like if you're over the ball and I look at the grass underneath the ball once the ball's gone, you need to complete the stroke. The stroke is back and through, not back ball where to go. Yeah. Right. So like I think people need to realize, like, whether Jordan's looking at the hole, he's keeping his eyes placed on a certain spot and completing the stroke before he's moving around.
Yeah.
So I would say the biggest thing for, like, I must have forgot that yesterday, but you know, there's things that you need to do in terms of like, what can I control in the golf swing or the stroke or the chip, and not get caught up so much in result. Because if I focus on what I can control, most of the result will happen. And if it's not going to happen, it'll be pretty damn close.
Yeah, no, I think that's very well said. That I was actually, funny you guys say that. I was like, I've been putting pretty good lately, and it's because of that reason. It's like, all right, make sure you keep your head down and then look. Like, it shouldn't be like a shoulder thing. It should be like your head turns and kind of keeps your body in line. So I think it's a good mojo that you're speaking that. Now I'm going to focus even more.
Yeah, now we're going to be zeroed in.
Yeah, but this has been a blast, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
We appreciate it.
Can definitely see us doing this again in the future.
Yeah, good luck at Presswick, obviously.
Appreciate it.
We'll be rooting you on.
Yeah, we'll definitely
we'll give you some good news.
Yeah, we'll be following along, and then that way we can go party it up at the Rocket next year.
Awesome.
So
it'll be awesome.
Obviously, again, if you're looking to join a place, especially in Michigan, Birmingham's a great spot. New greens, right, within the last couple years.
Yes.
Good membership. Younger membership or a little bit older, or
mix of both. You know, everyone's kind of the same. You got the old timers that have been there a long time, and a lot of new families coming in with a lot of kids, and it's a very family, social, fun club. Great pool, great tennis. We have it all, and obviously now a great golf course, and it'd be a great time. It's a great time to be a member at Birmingham Country Club right now.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I've caddied out there a few times for a few different events. So it's definitely eye-catching when you get in there, and it's a great golf course. So if you're looking, definitely check out that spot. And then if you join, then you play golf with Tim as much as you want, too.
Yeah, we got to have you guys out, too.
Yeah, we'll come out there, do some content.
Say less.
I do have to...
No gimmies, though.
Hey, that's fine. 18 cups. We'll play 18 cups.
18 cups.
I might shoot 9,000, but we're going to play 18 cups.
I like it. All right, that's a good deal. So, again, if you're out playing golf this weekend, hit them far, hit them straight, and we'll see you next week.